Good
Yeah, good
evening, sir.
evening. Good evening, Pratik. Please introduce yourself.
Sir, my name is Pratik Korde. I was born on 26 January, hence the name Pratik, or as in Pratik of the Republic Day. I have done my graduation in physics, BSc, and then I did my Masters of Arts in English Literature from Pune University. Sir, I have done NCC and two national camps and various opportunity which provided me a scope of leadership over there. So I also have played water polo for the 3 years of my college, and my hobbies include playing badminton, swimming, cooking, and playing online chess. Thank you, sir.
So you mentioned about literature, right? So what kind of so haven't you pursued any master's program for that?
Yes, sir. I have done Masters of Arts in English Literature from Pune
Uh,
University.
You done master's, okay, Masters of
Yes,
Arts in English literature, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Any specific books you'd love to read?
Sir, I have read the books which were there in the syllabus, such as Hamlet or uh, Dr. Faustus, and a lot many which were there in syllabus, uh, which were mostly related to the literature. There were a lot of poetries as well, and if I may, I would want to draw your attention to some of the Indian poets, such as Swami
Okay.
Vivekananda, uh,
Swami
who
Vivekananda
actually
was a
was.
poet.
Yes, sir. That is one of his life achievements. Sir. He was actually also a poet,
Okay.
and
Can
he has
you
written a beautiful poem.
speak some? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please, please. I was asking the same question.
Yes, sir. It was Kali, the mother. It
Okay.
was regarding the raising the period of Renaissance in the Indian time. It was regarding the raising awareness among the masses regarding the freedom that we all we would have aspired back then.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So tell me something about your city where you belong,
Yes, sir.
Nagpur.
Yes, sir. So Nagpur is famous for its oranges. It is also known as the Orange City. So Nagpur also hosts Zero Mile, which is considered to be the geographical center of the Indian subcontinent. So Nagpur is also a smart city as well as a metro city. So Nagpur hosts various institutions such as the Fire Safety School, only school in India, CSIR, MIRI, even the Southern Maintenance Command of Indian Air Force. It also hosts MIHAN, that is multimodal transport uh, project of the airport. It also have various facilities, MRO facilities of Boeing and Airbus. Nagpur is the 13th largest city in India and the fastest growing city in the world right now. And sir, the agriculture products of the Nagpur include oranges, cotton, soya bean, etc. And so the economy is driven by various other modes like manufacturing and services. So
Okay.
Nagpur is one of the vibrant cities.
But you mentioned so many positives about Nagpur, right? So
Yes,
yet we see in the news that there is a demand for the separation of Vidarbha, and Nagpur is a part of that from Maharashtra, right? That one of the reasons given is the backwardness. So can you elaborate on this aspect that why Vidarbha continues to remain backward, whereas the rest of the Maharashtra is progressing? And is there really a need to see the two sections of Maharashtra as separate states, just like what happened with UP and Madhya Pradesh or other states? Do you feel the necessity for Maharashtra as well to be divided?
sir, I do not agree regarding the separation of the state of Maharashtra because sir, uh, this show of breakdown of the state into the smaller state that might suit for the administrative convenience, but these states are in general not economically viable and become dependent on the central grant. And so the reason for the backwardness of Vidarbha region is mainly the developmental deficit that it is currently facing. Uh, that is mainly because of that the people believe that it has been neglected by the government, which actually sits in the westernmost corner of the Mumbai. Uh, so this demand of the separation of the state was first put forth by MS Ane. Mr. MS Ane was a politician, and so that was the demand regarding the separation of it. But even Fazal Ali Commission had given their nod to this particular thing, that separating Vidarbha from the Maharashtra state. But sir, eventually it was added to the part of the Maharashtra, and so there are a lot of reasons for backwardness in Vidarbha region.
Can
First,
you
I
specify
would
some more
say,
reasons? Yeah.
yes, sir. So first is the unemployment in the Vidarbha region. It is higher. Sir, there is little irrigation facility, and mostly the farmers are dependent on the monsoon, which is also erratic. And sir, the rising cost of the inputs such as seeds, high yield variety seeds, fertilizers have also taken the toll on the people. And sir, social extravagance in the Vidarbha region is also higher. Uh, Sir, apart from that, this area have been suffering from a constant neglect. That is what the local people believe. So, sir, I think these are a few of the reasons why Vidarbha, as in particular region, has been seen as a backward area.
So do you feel that the new project can add some value to Vidarbha region, that is Samruddhi Mahamarga project? Because
So,
there are many
definitely.
criticisms of the project as well regarding environmental concerns and so on. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I believe that whenever huge infrastructure comes, their investment comes, and uh, a lot of auxiliary works are also being distributed, such as dhabas, tea stalls, and all the other thing, as was pointed out by the by our Minister of Road and Transport. So, infrastructure does bring in a lot of investment, and that opens up a lot of avenues. Uh, sir, I think. So can you please repeat the question for
Yeah.
that?
So
Like I
do you feel that this project can add value to the development of Vidarbha region, that is Samruddhi Mahamarga?
yes, yes, sir. So I do believe that this project does add value to the project, to the development of the region. And so yes, there are environmental concerns regarding the felling of the tree. But sir, that can be compensated along with the plantation across the roadways or in the other premises. But the development should be the uh, first priority, because the area has been neglected for a long time.
Okay. So are you aware about any tribes in the vicinity of Nagpur?
Yes, sir.
Can you
So
name some of them?
Nagpur,
Yeah.
so one of the tribe is Gond tribe,
Mm-hmm.
which is in the vicinity of Nagpur, sir. Also, the Bhils are there, but that is little bit far. Kamars are also there. In the adjacent state of Chhattisgarh, which comes around, there are also various groups of tribals here, but particularly the area is dominated by the Gonds and their variety. Their diverse uh, communities of the Gonds, such as Muria Gond, uh, then Maria Gond, Raj Gond, etc. And so one thing about Nagpur that I would want to mention is that Nagpur was founded by a Gond dynasty. Uh,
Right.
it was Bhakt Khan Shah.
Okay. You'd like to add something more on the history of Nagpur?
Sure, sir. If you permit, I would definitely.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Sir, Nagpur as a city does have its existence in 1702, when it was founded by the Gond king, that is Bhakt Buland Shah. But the history goes back to around 3000 years back, when we have the copper plate, very various inscriptions, such as the megalithic sites which are there around Nagpur. Uh, for example, Mada. Mada is one of the village where there is a megalith. Then, sir, we also found various prashastis from, for example, recently the Rudrama Devi uh,
Mhm.
inscription, copper plate inscription was found near Nagpur at Ramtech. That brings Nagpur to one of the historic places.
Okay, there is also a cultural significance associated with Dr. Ambedkar here. So can you
Yes, sir.
recollect that incident? Yes.
Yes, sir. So in 1960s, there was a mass conversion to Buddhism, and that happened on the Vijaya Lakshmi Day. And that place is commemorated by making the biggest dome, hollow dome in the world, in the form of Diksha Bhumi, which is there in Nagpur. So that also explains that the demography of Nagpur has 15% of the Buddhists. So this I think should be the thing.
Since you talked about the necessity for development of Vidarbha, right? So that the state should not be divided. Can you recollect the constitutional provisions for the same?
Yes, sir. Under the Article 371 of the Indian Constitution, under the subsect, there are special provision in the Constitution which talks about the development of Marathwada and Vidarbha region. Uh, so this is the provision in the Constitution that I can recall right now.
Okay, fine. So going forward with your details, which I've seen in the DAF form.
Yes,
So you show a keen interest in NCC, right?
yes,
So what activities did you conduct there, and what kind of awards? So can you please elaborate on your journey in NCC?
sure, sir. So, NCC, right from the beginning, my first activity that I started was learning the drill, which helped me develop the discipline, which helped me get myself physically fit and develop a comradeship. So after that, I participated in the national camp, where I also got the chance to become the best cadet. And in that race of being best cadet, it was mandatory that the person should be involved in all the activities. Thus, sir, I was participating in tent pitching, boat pulling, firing, cultural, seamanship, rigging, and also the contingent drill, sir. And there was various other events which gave me opportunity to lead the contingent to the gold medal uh, in the contingent drill and various other events, sir. I also got individual medal, gold medal there in health and hygiene, silver in rigging, and gold again in the contingent drill. Then, sir, I also represented Maharashtra as a best cadet of Maharashtra on the national level, which was held at the Karwar, which is in Karnataka, where I also got the opportunity to visit India's aircraft carrier INS Vikramaditya. And later, sir, I got an opportunity to visit INS Virat on a 12-day camp, where I was there on the camp. Uh, I learned weapon training, then fire safety standards,
Okay.
and there was also various campaigns along the site.
So you mentioned about your visit to INS Vikramaditya, right?
Yes, sir.
And INS Virat also, it seems, is on your list. Did
Yes,
you
sir.
visit? So these are the two ships which you have visited as part of your NCC, right? INS Virat
Yes,
and
sir.
Vikramaditya.
INS Vikramaditya.
Yeah. So is INS Virat still in service?
No, sir. INS Virat was decommissioned in the year 2016, early into 2016.
Okay. So can you tell me something about INS Vikramaditya and its significance for India?
Yes, sir. Right now, sir, INS Vikramaditya is the only aircraft carrier that India is having currently. So it is mostly posted along the India's west coast at Karwar. It was taken from the Russia. The original name of it was Baku. Currently, it hosts India's LCA, like Tejas. It is also having capacity to operate Mirage and Chetak, which are the attack aircraft as well as the helicopters.
But
And
you just
so it has
mentioned
a
that
state.
it is the only aircraft carrier, but recently one more ship was commissioned. Can you name that as
Yes,
a
sir.
seacraft
It was
carrier?
yes,
Yeah.
sir. It was INS Virat. Sorry, INS Vikrant.
Mhm.
Which the name has been taken from the first INS Vikrant with the name INS Hercules, which was decommissioned back, and
Mhm.
hence, in order of its memory, the name was reused in the form of INS Vikrant. But sir, it is in the uh, commissioning stages. It is under the sea trials, and As of now, only one aircraft carrier is there in the service, to the best of my knowledge, sir.
Okay, but it has been officially commissioned, right? The Prime Minister did commission that. Maybe sea trials will take time, few more trials, but officially it has been commissioned, right, as per the government. So we do have now two ships as part of our indigenous aircraft carrier. So can you tell me the significance of these IACs, right? Why do we need them? Because there is a demand by Navy that we need one more IAC, that is indigenous aircraft carrier, right? So yeah, can you tell me something about these indigenous aircraft carriers? Did you learn something about them during your NCC time regarding these
Yes, sir.
aircraft carriers and their strategic significance?
Yes, sir. So India's aircraft carrier, or aircraft carrier in general, it increases the operational capacity of any other country. For example, any ship which has a limited amount of fuel and has a limited amount of operating capacity. And sir, for that purpose, there are also specially bunkers which are made, oil ships in particular, whose role is to provide refueling at the sea. But sir, when it comes to carrying a air force field on water, that becomes a really tedious job because that cannot happen. And thus, sir, in order to increase the operational capacity, not just the patrolling or attack or defensive, but the operational capacity in form of offensive attack. That is the age which is provided by the aircraft carrier.
So
My
what
brief
exactly do you
take,
mean by operational? Have you heard the term blue water navy?
yes sir,
Yeah. So what do you mean by blue water navy?
yes sir. So
So is
blue water
India a
navy,
blue water navy?
sir, after completing the sea trials of INS Vikrant, it has a potential to
You can
become the
first
blue.
elaborate about blue water navy, and then you can answer
Yes,
the second question. Yes.
yes sir. So blue water navy, it means that the navy with having a wider sea reach. In simple terminology, it can defend its shores, it can defend its territorial water. Along with it has a power and capacity to take long sea voyages also. Um, sir, that is the blue water navy. That is the significance of blue water navy. For example, USA. Sir, you stick. Okay. Yes.
Hmm.
For example, United States of America, we call it as a blue water navy because their operational reach is there in form of Western Pacific Command, Indo-Pacific Command, various commands at Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean. So that makes it a true blue water navy. And sir, whether India can
So what do you
become a
mean by brown water navy? Yeah. So yeah, complete your point on India, then you can come to that.
Yes, sir. And rather, the second question that you asked, whether India can become a blue water navy or not. So right now, India focuses more on cooperation and collaboration with the like-minded country. So that gives us an opportunity to explore their bases at various other ports. For example, the La Union port of France, or India's collaboration with Indonesia's Sibang, Sibang port. So that gives us an operational increase in the operational reach increase. But precisely, sir, when two aircraft carrier will be there in Indian Navy, that will actually increase its reach and will make it,
So you believe that
water.
India is not a truly a blue water navy? That's what you're saying.
Yes, sir. Right now, I believe that we need to do better because we are falling short on various other
Okay.
forms. Yes, sir.
All right. So do you know something about brown water navy? And what is the difference between brown water, blue water, and green water navy?
Sorry, sir. I am not able to distinguish, but I would like to learn about it.
Sure. So talking about the naval part, right, and since you come from Maharashtra, the recently the insignia of Indian Navy was also rechristened, right? And it was based on the lines of what Shivaji Maharaj had, right? So can you shed some light on why Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj is recognized as the father of Indian Navy, and how do we how does the Indian Navy get inspired in the modern times from his vision which he had for the Navy.
Yes, sir. So, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was the one of the leaders back then who understood the meaning of or importance of the sea warfare, and he also had a commissioned wing and had various ships of various size under the Kanoji Angre, and thus also one of the Mumbai's Western Command. There is a theater which is also named on his name, that is Kanoji Angre's on his name. Sir, he was a leader who understood the importance of it, and also took significant efforts in order to tackle the Portuguese navies that time. So that is the thing which makes him a leader who had a foresight of looking beyond what the others were actually looking. So that is the precise reason for that.
Okay. So, since you talk about your involvement in cultural activities as well, right? Can you
Yes, sir.
briefly elaborate about the cultural aspect of tribes in India in terms of their important tribes, let's say in terms of their lives, livelihoods, and any cultural significance to the tribal people of Maharashtra? Be it drawing,
So
dancing, anything which you know. Yes.
yes, sir. So culture is anything which is man-made part to the environment, as man-made part to the when it comes to response to the environment. So in Maharashtra, there is Varli tribe, which are famous for making Varli paintings. So
Mhm.
even the Gonds, they are famous for collecting the wild honey from the forest and selling it. Also, their involvement is there in collecting the tendu leaves, which are further used in the beadi making industry. Uh, so these are some of the uh, economic aspect of that I can highlight. Apart from that, so there are various festivals uh, which are enjoyed by the tribals. But sir, as I also have studied the tribals which are near my town, most of them are getting Hinduized. So the festivals that we celebrate are actually being celebrated by them. So I think
What
there's
do you mean by
cultural.
being Hinduized?
So by Hinduized, I mean that the local tradition or the culture of the Hindus, because that community is there in the majority, are being um, something which is cultured on the tribals. I would say that there have been intermingling of it, but mostly there is a sort of a cultural conquest of the society on the tribals. So that is what I precisely mean by
So, do you mean to say that they are losing their original identity in the process of becoming Hinduized, or how is it?
sir. I'm observing the tribals since I was a child,
Mhm.
and in a course of that, I have seen the local deities are being celebrated there. For example, Durga Mata or Vaishno Devi. So these worships are being practiced, and I also have got a lot of opportunity to cross the area or look into the region. So I have seen that the idols as well as the portrait of Hindu gods are also being used in the house. So yes, sir, I have seen this thing happening.
Okay, so do you mean to say that there are other reasons for the tribals to get influenced as well, and there are other religions which are also equally influencing the tribal lifestyle? Is that so?
Yes, sir. Uh, Throughout the India, in the different pockets, uh, the tribals are basically switching their religion or they're
In
converting to
Northeast,
the.
we see that many of them are
Yes, sir.
Christians, right?
Yes, sir.
So,
And in
do you
central
see
part,
that as a positive thing? Like you said that in Maharashtra they're becoming Hinduized, whereas in the Northeast we see that there are Christian tribals, right? So, how do you see this as a positive sign for the tribals, or should they have their own unique identity instead of being influenced by the religions, other religions? Yes.
sir, I think tribal should get all the facilities uh, in order to live a better life that include education, healthcare, and also with a right that they can profess and practice their own culture. Sir, I do not agree to the thing that they should be Hinduized or Christianized or leave the culture. I think they should have freedom to practice their own. And if, sir, they are attracted towards something genuinely, then that is their personal opinion. But I would want to people to pretend reserve their culture, to protect their culture as well as to cherish their culture.
Can you elaborate on some constitutional provisions which protect the interest of the tribals?
Yes, sir. Uh, our our schedule, sorry, the part 5 and part 6 of Indian Constitution. This precisely provides for the various sort of reservations to the tribals. Apart from that, in order to protect their culture, uh, there is institutions such as National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, which takes active part regarding the same. Uh, the Constitution also provides Article 25 of the Constitution, which means that there is freedom to practice, profess, and uh, propagate their religion, but that does not include the conversion. So these are some of, and yes, sir, minority institution, Article 29, that also acts in favor of the tribals in order to protect their own culture and heritage.
The linguistic culture, you mean by that?
Yes, sir.
So, what can you tell me about uh, the Forest Dwellers Act? Okay, 2005. How is it
2005.
working? Is it in favor of the tribes, and whether it is really working in the best interest of the tribals? How do you see that?
So since independence, or even before that, tribals were was one of the oppressed community, and that trend even continued in the modern India after independence. But sir, that came to halt or reduce in the speed with Forest Rights Act 2006, with the Commission of Forest Rights Act. That also gave land rights to the people, uh, and a Gram Panchayat was made uh, responsible in order to allocate the land. But sir, there are various loopholes which allows discretion to the state, which does not frame the timeline. And sir, various institutions such as concubinage or adoption or marriage, so these things are also being used by the people in order to grab their land. And sir, due to lack of awareness about their right, uh, tribals are even today facing the issues. Uh, yes, this the work of administration have been in a right direction, but sir, there are need that more steps should be taken in the similar direction.
Okay. So, what do you consider as one of the reasons for the consistent backwardness of tribals, especially when it comes to their health and education? In spite of the fact that we have so many constitutional provisions, 75 years of independence, and yet we are talking about these issues repeatedly. Right? So, what solutions? Let's say if you are tomorrow posted as a district magistrate in any of the tribal places, right, and you observe certain trends that are not working in the favor of tribals, let's say per se in the domain of health and education, what would be your steps to improve the conditions of the tribal people?
The tribals right now are facing various issues such as malnutrition, lack of education, lack of awareness, and that have been through the historical times. So, go, tribals, they mostly depend on the forest for all their food needs. But as they were used to hunt in the past, but once that has been done away, the nutritional need are not being taken into consideration, and thus it signifies their higher mortality, maternal mortality rate, high infant mortality rate. Anemic women in tribals are around 68%, which is way higher than the national average of being uh, 53, 54. So that shows that there is a lot of loopholes and areas of improvement with the government. So as a magistrate, I would uh, first jot down the areas and sir, where the issues are being faced and what type of issues are there. So second would be to provide them the facilities under the midday, the children particularly the midday meal scheme, and the 1,000 day nutrition to the women when they comes to the delivery. Um, Sir, fortification of the food can be one of the way in order to tackle the issue of malnutrition. Uh,
And what about education then?
yes, sir. And yes, of course, sir. Education is one of is should be the pillar of it, because with education things does get better. So yes, sir. I would want to focus on these areas in the beginning.
So, do you know about any provisions of the new national education policy that can help the tribals?
So the new national education policy introduced in the year 2020 does brings various changes as far as the structure of the whole education system is concerned. But sir, I sadly believe that the pointers or the highlights of this new education policy would not be in favor of the tribals, as even the basic education we have been not able to provide them up to the mark. So, sir,
But
we
what are the
try.
provisions? What are the provisions which you feel which are not so elaborate, or mention some provisions which you know about the national education policy which are there for the tribals?
Sir, I have read the national education policy, and I felt that uh, there are no provision which directly benefit the tribals. Uh, Sir, for that matter, the Eklavya model residential schools, which are there in the tribal, are also not performing well. That was what quoted by various reports. And the new education policy does good for the modern education system, but it does not talk anything regarding the traditional education system or the education system which can be utilized for the tribals.
Okay. But why do you feel that the Eklavya system is not working? Have you studied about that as a student of anthropology?
Sir, I have read some of the news and some of the articles on internet. So, the infrastructural issue, the issue of absenteeism, the issue of the quality teachers, disinterestedness among the children. Apart from that, sir, the convenience, children who come over there and there's no connectivity. So these are the issues uh, hin- uh, which are restricting the tribals uh, while fulfilling their dream or utilizing the full potential of Eklavya Model Residential School.
Okay. Can you elaborate upon the importance of anthropology for your day-to-day life? How does anthropology help in governance and in a day-to-day life?
Yes, sir. Sir, anthropology provides oneself with a holistic perspective. It allows one to study one incidence or matter holistically. It also gives various methods such as fieldwork studies, where person himself is under the he's himself under the training. He's learning everything, and then he's the one who's also uh, working towards the betterment of the people in form of action anthropology. So that is how, sir, a particular anthropology can be used in the form of administration. Uh, so I would want to reframe this sentence
Mm-hmm.
uh, in a way that anthropology can be better utilized as it studies the people, and administration is about governing the and understanding people becomes a critical issue. And anthropology studies human being holistically. There is biological, social, and cultural aspect of it. And thus, uh, anthropology can be studied in form of policy formulating, implementation, then monitoring, and also re-evaluating of the issues. So, sir, anthropology helps oneself this way in the administration. And in the personal life, anthropology helps us to uh, take out our biasness. Oh, people have biasness towards communities. Anthropology talks about cultural relativism. Means we we believe that what we have is good, but what others have, not necessarily it is bad. So in this way, sir, even cultural relativism as a concept helps us in this ending.
What is
Uh,
cultural relativism? Can you give some examples of that?
yes, sir. Cultural relativism is a concept which means that um, one's own culture is might be at the he keeps one's uh, culture at the center, but it does not keep the other culture at periphery. Meaning that it gives studies his own culture and objectively studies the culture of the other without letting his own personal biases uh, coming in between the path.
Can you give some examples of cultural relativism?
Yes, sir. For example, in India, we burn the corpses, we burn the dead. Uh, Precisely the reason is that there is unavailability of land because of the high population. But whereas in the desert and even in the west, the people they bury it because the population density over there is less and the land is vast. So that is one of the example of cultural relativism. Other than that, sir, would be uh, in India we make houses of bricks, cements, and the houses that are being made in the Western countries are mostly wooden. So that is also cultural relativism.
So, is the euthanasia, which has been talked about, right? Passive euthanasia or active euthanasia, is it a part of cultural relativism? Let's say in some Western countries they allow euthanasia, and let's say in India we don't have any such laws for active euthanasia. Can it be considered as a part of cultural relativism?
Yes, sir, it can be considered as part of the cultural relativism because when they have it, when in the Western world, if there is a law regarding the euthanasia and they are allowing it, that is their own view towards it, and we do not have any rights to make our become judgmental regarding that thing. So, yes, sir, it
Okay.
can be an example.
So you see, you show a keen interest in sports. It seems from your profile. So can you shed some light about the terminology called as sports anthropology, right, which is in
Yes,
domain?
sir.
Yes. So can you
Yes, sir.
shed some light about that?
So sports anthropology encompasses anthropometry, which is the study of human body. It also includes various somatotypes of the body, such as Sheldon's somatotrophy, where there is a segregation of human body type with respect to the sports. The bodies are divided into three categories: tall, medium, short, and then weight category is also divided further: heavy, light, and heavy, medium, and light. And accordingly, sir, the sport have been assigned. For example, it includes study of various sports person. For that matter, if we consider a sport player such as Virat Kohli, he's great in cricket. So his physique is he's of a medium height, medium weight, and it comes under cricket. But if someone
Okay.
who is uh, doing weightlifting, then it is
Mhm.
important that the person should be broad, strong, but it should also have low height so that the center of gravity remains close to the ground, and thus this level of this sort of people excel in the sports. Sir, I would want to quote one of the example of uh, one of the faculties, Sri Chaurasia, Sri Chaurasia ji. Sir, he uh, worked in this sector, uh, and the hockey of the Jharkhand boys team,
Mhm.
national team, was redefined by him. And that year, the Jharkhand boys team won the hockey championship. So earlier, sir, the thing was that there was a uniform hockey, but as our stature is different, there are people with taller height, there are people with medium height, and hockey which was made was a uniform one. So this scholar, he actually understood the term, and he did justice with the team by changing or remodeling hockey. So also this has been done with the uh, other tribe, with the tribe they where there was a change in their bow and arrow, and thus the team also performed well in the archery. So these
Can you
are
name
the
some of the
examples.
tribes which are a part of the study on sports anthropology?
Uh, Sir, sorry, sir. As of now, I am not able to recall the name of the community.
Okay. Have you heard about the Maori tribe?
Maori tribe. Sir, I have heard about it. I have read, but I am not able to recall right now.
Okay. Do you know in which part of the world it is? Is it in India or is it?
Sir, it's not in India.
Okay, fine. Can you shed some light on how you can use anthropology to tackle this issue of racism? Because you can see there is an increasing trend of racism in the West as well as in some parts in India. We also find some kind of racist comment. So, can you use anthropology in a way to tackle this racism issue? And how do you deal with this?
Yes, sir. So the issue of racism earlier it was which was there in the West. For example, the Negroes were facing huge discrimination in the USA. But even in India, the northeastern communities or people face some sort of racism against them and racial hatred in the central part of or mainland India, and are being called with various other names, offensive names particularly. So anthropology gives one of the concept called as cultural relativism. Uh, that one concept can be used to tackle the uh, making race as myth. So other thing is that the blood are blood type, particularly blood group. So it was believed that the blood of the Caucasian race was different than the blood of the other race. But with the research and study, it has been found that most of the people on this planet are of the O positive, and that O positive is divided equally, near equally, in Negroid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid. Apart from that, so there are various discriminations such as uh, B positive being higher in the Caucasian race. But throughout the journey of life, uh, this mixture of race have been there, and even United Nations regarding the same have used the year of 1991 regarding generation of awareness regarding the racial discrimination that people face. So yes, sir, anthropology does play a role in reducing the biasness, making people more understanding about others' culture, making people more accepting and open-minded. So yes, sir, anthropology does play a very significant role.
All right, Pratik, that's it for today.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Exhausted.
Not exhausted, sir, but
But
sort of, it was like
meant
I was looking down, right? It's like normal this.
okay,
If
okay.
I'm
You
looking
you
down,
can
so yes,
okay, okay. You need to keep it in line with your eyes so that it will help your posture also.
yes, sir.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So
So I hope today was a bit better.
bit better, yeah, bit by bit, but we need to be much
That is,
better. Yes.
yes, sir. Please tell me.
So starting with introduction, introduce yourself, right? You did introduce yourself, try to make it succinctly, but then once you're talking about literature also, right, there you need to be more aware about whatever literature you have read. Okay, so literature
Yes,
part, as you
I was
said,
talking
क्योंकि
to
वो
my father
हाँ हाँ हाँ
regarding the same today. I opened the syllabus and I was like, okay, ये भी literature मैंने पढ़ा है because I
हाँ
wasn't remembering that thing, sir. So I
हाँ
will go through it today. Tonight I will spend
yes
on in English.
राइट इंग्लिश लिटरेचर में क्या है अगर हैमलेट बोला तो फिर हैमलेट की कुछ लाइंस पूछेंगे
I, yes, sir.
राइट कुछ भी मतलब यू नेवर नो ये कौन सा पैनल आता है क्या आता है वो डिटेल में ही घुस सकते हैं यू माइट फील कि दे विल आस्क यू ऑन फिजिक्स बट दे विल पुल एंटायरली योर इंटरव्यू फर्स्ट हाफ इनटू लिटरेचर आल्सो ओके
Possible.
so prepare we have to prepare for all them क्योंकि see the challenge with having a diverse staff is that diverse questions can come. Okay, कि तुम्हारा फिजिक्स में भी है, इंग्लिश में भी है, साइंस एंड टेक है, एनसीसी है, स्पोर्ट्स है. So you have to prepare with all permutations and combinations. Again, Nagpur as a happening city, ठीक है, good answer. But जो provisions थे कि do you feel that Maharashtra should be divided, right? तो pros and cons दोनों बताना चाहिए. So I feel that though you did give your opinion that you believe कि it shouldn't be divided, right? And there should be more developmental initiatives which are there. But there are many strands to that aspect actually, right? तो अगर ऐसा होता तो फिर यूपी को भी डिवाइड नहीं किया जाता, तेलंगाना और इसको भी डिवाइड नहीं किया जाता, बिहार को भी नहीं किया जाता, राइट? इसलिए आर्टिकल में एक स्पेशल प्रोविजन है 371 ए का, मतलब A to J है वो, उसमें 370 A2 सब, मतलब सब स्टेट्स का, right? So that is one word which you can use is balanced regional development. Okay, it is, ये यूपीएससी का एक ऑफिशियल वर्ड भी है, सिलेबस के अंदर भी है. Okay, so that word you can just note it down. Balanced regional development is essential. There are some more reasons for backwardness, right? सिर्फ यही नहीं है कि वो वेस्ट में होता है पॉलिटिकल, इसलिए तो नागपुर को सेंटर किया सो दैट यहाँ पर फोकस आएगा, राइट? तो वो एक, उसके साथ साथ रिसोर्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का भी एक मेजर प्रॉब्लम है, दैट विदर्भा contributes to majority of the natural resources, right? But the developmental priorities are given to the west as compared to the Vidarbha. It is the projects which are invited, right? So it is time that these projects like Samruddhi, even if so I asked a complimentary question like Samruddhi Mahamarga so that you can justify your first part. तो वो एक्चुअली तुम बोल सकते थे कि अगर आपको उसके ऊपर मींस इफ यू हैव प्रिपेयर्ड वेल ऑन दैट एस्पेक्ट, so you can say that the new projects are coming up like Samruddhi Mahamarga which can add some potential value to the developmental scheme of the Vidarbha and Marathwada region. Okay, so that has a potential to add to that value. Okay, और pros and cons में दोनों बताना कि like you initially said कि administratively it is good, but again वो center के ऊपर grants के ऊपर रहना पड़ता है. तो you can say कि it depends on the structure of division, right? And regarding how the resources are going to be distributed. So because another challenge is also with water distribution, पानी का distribution, right? वो भी एक important aspect होता है जो टैकल करता है इस टॉपिक को. सेंट्रल गार्ड्स तो सबको ही लगते हैं, राइट? इवन महाराष्ट्र टेक्स दैट, सो दैट इज नॉट द ओनली इशू कि सेंट्रल गार्ड्स के ऊपर. इनफैक्ट आई शेयर यू एन इंडियन एक्सप्रेस आर्टिकल आल्सो. मैं शेयर किया कि नहीं पता नहीं अभी. यस, केलकर कमीशन के कुछ रिपोर्ट्स है, प्लीज रीड इनटू दैट so that you can come up with underutilized fund, poor connectivity kept Vidarbha and Maharashtra backward. Okay, ये भेजा है. So that answer needs better preparation, good words, balanced words, and balanced arguments, both on pros and cons. And then you can say ki, if we have balanced regional development, then there is no need for that, right? And if we utilize the provisions within Article 371 to establish a special developmental board, right? So that should bring about some parity in the development. Tribes in and around Nagpur, I guess you mentioned काफी हद तक नाम ले लिए थे, right? जो ये कौन सा नागपुर का आपका ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट है NIC वाला, on that I also saw Rajgond, Halba, Halbi, Arak.
Yes, Halba, Halbi, Arak.
Right.
Halba, Halbis are literally touching the Chhattisgarh border, so
right.
so I was not sure whether I should mention.
Yeah, but
them or not.
NIC, see, one thing which you can do as one more part of exercises, nagpur.nic के वेबसाइट से सारा डेटा उसको रट्टा मार लो कि अर्बनाइजेशन कितना है और ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन कितना है, नंबर 1, राइट? देन द सेक्स रेशियो विद इन दैट, क्योंकि ये क्वेश्चन एंथ्रोपोलॉजी से भी लिंक्ड है. ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन कितना है, क्या उसका स्ट्रक्चर है पॉपुलेशन का, right? And whether they're increasing or decreasing the tribal population, these trends and these new names which are there. Okay. Regarding INS, that part, I guess that was the next question.
INS Virat Vikram Mistry.
Yes. So विक्रांत के बारे में भूल गए. You said that it is the only, क्योंकि अब ऑफिशियल कमीशनिंग हो गया है, तो फिर उसको हम कंसिडर ही करते हैं एज पार्ट ऑफ द कमीशन INS विक्रांत को. और थोड़ा सा मैंने आस्क यू अबाउट व्हाई IAC इज रिक्वायर्ड, तो उसमें थोड़ा सा और अच्छा आंसर हो सकता था कि जो इंडिजिनियस एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर है, नंबर वन, इट रिड्यूसेस आवर डिपेंडेंस ऑन
Dependency on the
डिफेंस.
foreign
हाँ, द
port.
foreign imports, and it is strategically important. ऐसे कुछ words, these words are important, strategic
I
importance
missed it. Yes, sir.
for our on navy, and it also helps in future that India can become a defense hub to export as well. राइट, तो फिर वहां से भी और क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं. जैसे ब्रह्मोस को एक्सपांड किया है, ब्रह्मोस को हमने अभी देने की बात कही है. इंडिया इज ऑल्सो एक्सपोर्टिंग सम ऑफ इट्स. तेजस को अभी एक्सपोर्ट करने की बात हो रही है, साउथ ईस्ट कंट्रीज को इंटरेस्ट आया है HAL के थ्रू. तो वो भी एक टॉपिक के ऊपर यू कैन बेटर प्रिपेयर्ड बिकॉज यू हैव अ डिफेंस बैकग्राउंड एज वेल, राइट. सो डिफेंस एक्सपोर्ट्स, तो INS विक्रांत का जो पूरा नेचर है, कुछ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक भी पूछ सकते हैं कि उसके अंदर क्या क्या, वो दो मीडिया में भी पूरा कुछ नहीं दिया है उसमें, बट IAC का स्ट्रेटेजिक सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है. सो यू डिड मेंशन अबाउट ऑपरेशनल, क्या वर्ड यूज करते हैं, फॉरगॉट.
Operational range.
ऑपरेशनल रेंज, राइट. सो यू कैन से कि इट विल हेल्प इंडिया टू बेटर पोर्ट्रे इट्स नेचर एज अ ब्लू वाटर नेवी, राइट. तो फिर उसके ऊपर ब्लू वाटर नेवी का क्वेश्चन आएगा, सो दैट यू कैन टैकल दैट क्वेश्चन. Okay, this is a connected question, right? And firmly establish itself as a uh, regional naval power, and also within the other oceans, right?
Right.
So,
Sir,
फिर blue water, हाँ,
so you mentioned blue water, navy, green and
right,
brown water.
yes. So उसके ऊपर आ रहा था.
Brown means territorial waters.
टेरिटोरी,
And
अपने shores तक ही,
so
right?
and green means
Blue water, second stage is blue water.
okay.
And Indian Navy does consider itself as a blue water. ये याद रखना. तो ये जो एम्बिवेलेंस था तुम्हारे माइंड में कि वी कैन बिकम, और वो शायद कंफ्यूजन था. तो इंडियन नेवी का स्टेटमेंट है कि वी आर अ ब्लू वाटर नेवी, मींस वी गो बियॉन्ड द टेरिटोरियल वाटर इनटू द नेबरिंग इंटरनेशनल वाटर्स, राइट. एंड ग्रीन वाटर नेवी मींस ऑल अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड, मींस इट गोज
Okay.
इवन पूरे दुनिया में उसका ऑपरेशनल प्रेजेंस है. जैसे US को कुछ हद तक कहा जाता है, राइट, ग्रीन वाटर नेवी है, right? So that is like the final stage of
Right.
naval preparedness. Coming about जो ट्राइबल्स के बारे में पूछा था, ये थोड़ा योर आंसर वाज डिबेटेबल. वो हिंदुआइज वर्ड यूज नहीं करना चाहिए, कि वो हिंदुआइज वर्ड से है ना, बहुत डिबेट में
But
जाएगा.
I wanted to say Sanskritized. I used the word
वो
Hinduized
भी
and I
नहीं,
knew
मतलब
I was trapped.
संस्कृताइज वगैरह उसको उसमें जाना ही नहीं है. वो ट्रैप में घुस गया ना, देन योर मार्क्स गो देयर इटसेल्फ. फिर वो
It
क्रिश्चियन
happened in the
वर्सेस,
board.
हाँ ये, फिर वो क्रिश्चियंस का
But
आएगा, फिर वो जॉन चाओ का भी वो इंसिडेंट बोलेंगे, फिर तुम्हारा ओपिनियन मांगे. सो इट विल फील कि वो एक्सट्रीम तुम्हारा ओपिनियन हो रहा है ट्राइबल्स के साथ, राइट.
right.
सो ज्यादा से ज्यादा अगर उनने एक्सप्लिसिटली पूछा तो बोल सकते हैं that tribal elements in India, their faith does have some similarities with our Hindu cultures, right? So that similarity, so definitely है, वो हर जगह है, right? In most parts of the our country, ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी का हिंदू कम्युनिटी के साथ एक सिमिलैरिटी, उतना बोल दो. हिंदुआइज का बात ही नहीं आता, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी बहुत लोग उनको पार्ट ऑफ हिंदू कल्चर, सनातन कल्चर कहते हैं, बट वो वर्ड यूज ही नहीं करते. मीन्स दैट्स अ कंट्रोवर्शियल स्टेटमेंट. जस्ट मेंशन अबाउट देयर ब्रीफ बिलीफ्स कि वर्शिपिंग नेचर, द 5 एलिमेंट्स ऑफ नेचर, एंड दैट्स इट. अगर उनके चैलेंजेस के ऊपर जब आएगा कि उनको क्या प्रॉब्लम्स फेस हो रहे, फिर उसमें जो एजुकेशनल हेल्थ का क्या प्रॉब्लम है, उसमें जो माल नरिशमेंट का प्रॉब्लम है, दैट इज डेफिनेटली बिकॉज लैक ऑफ फूड. बट उसका मेजर रीजन आता है कि डिफॉरेस्टेशन, राइट, कि एनवायरमेंटल डैमेज, जो लॉस ऑफ बायोडाइवर्सिटी is also one of the reasons for the destruction of their habitat, and also for nutritional loss, right? That we have to then complement with such interventions, timely interventions through midday meal for the children or vaccination program even for the tribals, right? And क्या कहते हैं कि और कुछ उनके जो एडिशनल मालनरिशमेंट जैसे वो पोषण अभियान है, यू कैन मेंशन अबाउट पोषण अभियान आल्सो कि देयर इज अ नीड फॉर, सो उसमें प्रोविजन ऑलरेडी है पोषण अभियान में अबाउट अ रीजनल एटलस, मीन्स एक लोकल फूड वाइज एटलस होने वाला है, वो एक प्रोविजन है। इफ दैट इज इम्प्लीमेंटेड वेल तो लोकल फूड ट्रेडिशंस के हिसाब से उनको न्यूट्रिशनल रिक्वायरमेंट होगा। ये उसका नेक्स्ट स्टेज है एक्चुअली पोषण अभियान का। सो वो थोड़ा माल नरिशमेंट और ट्राइबल हेल्थ हमेशा हैंड इन हैंड जाता है, तो उसके ऊपर अच्छे आंसर प्रिपेयर करना। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस आई हैव गिवन यू मोर एलैबोरेट प्रोविजंस ऑन योर व्हाट्सएप, डू रीड देम।
Yes, sir.
फिर एससी जो फॉरेस्ट डीलर्स एक्ट है उसको भी थोड़ा अच्छे आंसर एक्सपेक्टेड है कि दो द प्रोविजंस हैड बीन मेड but Supreme Court time and again had to remind the various state governments to make provisions and to do the survey so that the indigenous tribes, which have an important role into our traditional knowledge systems, into our medicines, right? तो वो उसमें उनका बहुत बड़ा योगदान है, ये बता सकते हो उसके अंदर, राइट? तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजन में बहुत सारे पंचायत के लिए उनका रिजर्वेशन है, स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव के लिए है, राइट? फंडामेंटल राइट्स में भी है उनका एजुकेशन और ठीक है, लिंग्विस्टिक का तुमने बताया है माइनॉरिटीज में एज पार्ट ऑफ लिंग्विस्टिक। तो उससे एक और क्वेश्चन जो मैंने पूछा नहीं बट आगे मैं पूछूंगा अबाउट द लैंग्वेज बैरियर। ओके, लैंग्वेज बैरियर का जो एस्पेक्ट है, right? And you were not able to tackle well this question about tribals and national education policy का।
Yes, sir.
So उसमें प्रोविजंस दिए हैं कुछ, जो मैंने आर्टिकल पीआईबी का आर्टिकल भेजा, यू कैन ऑल्सो गो थ्रू एनईपी वंस अगेन, राइट? तो जिसके अंदर जो मैसिव ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन है उसके अंदर भी लेना है उनको। देन
Okay, yes, yes.
एकलव्य मॉडल को भी उनको थोड़ा सा बढ़ाना है, थोड़ा और इफेक्टिव करना है, राइट? फिर कुछ इसके अंदर उन्होंने लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म और ट्राइबल का भी काफी लिंक है, वो नेक्स्ट फेज में पूछूंगा, आई लास्ट यू इन द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन। तो उसको भी टैकल करने के लिए उनको एजुकेशनल मेन स्ट्रीम में लाने के लिए भी कुछ प्रोविजंस की बात हो रही है, राइट? तो ऐसे बहुत सारे प्रोविजंस है जो ट्राइबल्स के लिए न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, क्योंकि न्यू नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी का एक और मेजर कंट्रीब्यूशन ये है कि दे आर मोर फोकसिंग ऑन इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम्स और इंडियन नॉलेज
Yes, sir.
सिस्टम। इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम में ट्राइबल नॉलेज तो आता ही है, ओके? तो इसलिए वो एक लिंक है। टीकेडीएल के बारे में पता ही होगा, टीकेडीएल, आई विल आस्क मोर क्वेश्चंस ऑन बायोडाइवर्सिटी एंड टीकेडीएल। ऑल्सो रिमेंबर दिस
What
लिंक बिटवीन
TKDL? Sorry, TKDL.
ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज डिजिटल लाइब्रेरी।
अच्छा, traditional knowledge digital library. Okay.
You haven't heard about this?
I have heard the but I didn't
हाँ
heard
वो
about TKDL.
ठीक है, हाँ मतलब उसका एब्रिवेशन ठीक
हाँ,
है।
yes.
तो मतलब वो ट्राइबल सारे मतलब ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज का रिपोजिटरी होगा, तो ऐसे इंटर तो
Yes,
पुराना है एक्चुअली, इट्स इन
yes, sir. That's
2002
okay.
बायोडाइवर्सिटी एक्ट वगैरह जब आया था तब वो
हम्म,
टीकेडीएल आया था, right? तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस along with फॉरेस्ट
हाँ
डीलर्स
सर,
एक्ट, उसके ऊपर ओपिनियंस, और
उसको एक बार सही से करना है।
न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के अंदर ट्राइबल्स के लिए क्या प्रोविजन है।
यस सर।
फिर और क्या था? हाँ वो छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज का आंसर, कान्होजी आंग्रे वगैरह, यू न्यू द हिस्ट्री, दैट वाज फाइन। और नागपुर का भी हिस्ट्री है, मीन्स जो तुमने ब्रदर्स का मेंशन किया, राइट? सो इफ यू रीड द एनआईसी वेबसाइट you can give some more aspects on the Maratha history, right? And
Maratha history was just a briefly only under the Bhosle dynasty.
राइट राइट, तो गोंड ट्राइब का दिया, दैट सिद्धि नहीं, कुछ कौन सा वो नेम यूज किया, आई फॉरगॉट दैट।
बुलंदशाह, बख्त
बुलंदशाह,
बुलंदशाह।
भक्त बुलंदशाह, राइट, ठीक है। उसके जो दो कुछ इलिजिटिमेट एक बेटा था, ऐसे भी कुछ हिस्ट्री में लिखा है उसके, इट इज देयर इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी, एनआईसी के भी वेबसाइट के ऊपर दिया था, राइट? तो ठीक है, उसको थोड़ा सा और रिफाइन करके बोल सकते हो, बट ठीक है, उतना तो मुझे ठीक लगा आंसर। फिर कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म, यस,
यस सर, आई फेल्ट इट, मैंने वो सही से जस्टिफाई नहीं किया था।
वो वर्ड हर बार आ रहा था, राइट? तो कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म मीन्स कि there is a diversity in our cultures and therefore अलग अलग उनके
Respect.
हाँ ये है राइट। तो एथनोसेंट्रिसिज्म भी आ सकता है राइट।
Yes, sir.
एथनोसेंट्रिसिज्म वर्सेस कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म, ये क्वेश्चन जरूर आ सकता है राइट। तो उसके एग्जाम्पल्स और प्रिपेयर कर सकते हो कि वेस्ट और ईस्ट, ये विद इन इंडिया के भी कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स अच्छे से दे सकते हो कल्चरल प्रैक्टिसेस के राइट।
Yes, sir.
कि जैसे वुमेन का कुछ एरिया में रिग्रेशन है, कुछ एरिया में प्रोग्रेशन है राइट। वुमेन का एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हो, कुछ बिलीफ्स का दे सकते हो। जैसे कुछ लोग बॉडी को जलाते, कुछ लोग बॉडी को बरी करते
दफनाते हैं।
हैं। तो ऐसे छोटे छोटे एग्जाम्पल देखे जो ज्यादा कंट्रोवर्शियल भी नहीं और सिंपल, इसमें यू कैन एक्सप्लेन इट
Right,
राइट।
sir.
सो दैट इन अ वे शोज द डिवर्सिटी ऑफ आवर कल्चर राइट।
Right.
तो तो उससे दूसरा क्वेश्चन भी ये हो सकता है कनेक्टेड, दे माइट आस्क सो शुड वी जैसे हैंगिंग राइट, किसी को सूली पे चढ़ाना कैपिटल
Right.
पनिशमेंट, या यूथेनेशिया भी अभी उसी के अंदर, वो डिबेट के अंदर आ रहा है। सो वो कुछ कंट्रीज में एक्सेप्टेबल है लेकिन कुछ कंट्रीज कैपिटल पनिशमेंट को नहीं मानते राइट। सो दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ कल्चरल रिलेशन एंड इट इज डिफिकल्ट। अगर वो क्वेश्चन भी पूछ लिया कि इज इट नेसेसरी टू हैव अ यूनिफॉर्म कल्चर, देन आर यू इन फेवर ऑफ यूनिफॉर्म कल्चर फॉर सच रिग्रेसिव प्रैक्टिसेस इन
Anything can
सम।
come. Yes, sir.
हाँ, तो फिर इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द पीपल राइट। सो कुछ कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म इज गुड, कि जो कल्चरल हमारा डायनामिज्म होता है, बट अगर कोई रिग्रेसिव प्रैक्टिस है तो वो दे शुड बी वेड ऑन द मॉडर्न यूनिवर्सल ह्यूमन राइट्स। So if some cultural practices are violating the modern day human rights, universal human rights, then they should definitely uh, undergo some change, right?
Right.
तो ऐसा कुछ बैलेंस्ड आंसर हो सकता है अगर कुछ रेग्रेसिव ट्राइबल प्रैक्टिसेस के बारे में अगर कुछ क्वेश्चन आता ही है। तो मुझे भी इतना ज्यादा नॉलेज नहीं, बट बाय चांस आ गया तो उसके ऊपर राइट। माय एंथ्रोपोलॉजी इज क्वाइट वीक, सो बट आई एम ट्राइंग माय बेस्ट कि उसके ऊपर
No, sir.
जो भी
You did better. You did better than any other anthropologist student. I can assure you that your questions were very precise.
yes, so racism anthropology, how is it helpful in racism? तो उसमें ये बता सकते हो कि anthropology, while it does help us in studying the diverse cultures, right, but it also helps us in celebrating the diversity which we have, and in a way to also underpin the justice or give justice to the or study the inequalities, the causes and concerns for inequality amongst the tribes, right?
Right.
तो उससे
Right,
हम
sir.
उनके पेन, उनके ट्रॉमा को समझ सकते हैं, and then we can come out with the solutions for this the races like you mentioned, northeast blacks, right, and we can truly fight for their justice. ओके, तो ऐसा एक अच्छा आंसर होना चाहिए उसके लिए कि जो रेशियल इनइक्वालिटी है, उनकी इकोनॉमिक इनइक्वालिटी, देयर द कल्चरल इनइक्वालिटी एंड द criticism which they face, or the name calling which these communities face in the name of racism. So anthropology, the study of anthropology with regards to such inequalities can definitely help us give justice, can help us empathize with their problems, and also come up with solutions, right? So that we can better
Right, sir.
टैकल देयर प्रॉब्लम्स। ऐसा एक अच्छा आंसर होना चाहिए एंथ्रोपोलॉजी का। ये भी क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं कि एज अ डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर क्या तुम्हारे प्रायोरिटीज होगे, तो वो आंसर भी थोड़ा सा अच्छा करो। ऐसा भी क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कि इफ यू आर प्लेस्ड इन ट्राइबल स्टेट
Hmm.
उड़ीसा में, राइट, ट्राइबल डिस्ट्रिक्ट में, नक्सल एरिया में तुमको भेज दिया, यहाँ
Hmm.
पे ट्राइबल बहुत ज्यादा है, सो हाउ हाउ वुड यू you know tackle those extremism issues and development, right, and how do you mainstream? तो
Yes.
उसके लिए कुछ केस स्टडीज आई वुड रेकमेंड, मैं भी थोड़ा ढूंढता हूँ, मेरे पास है वो, बट आई हैव टू सर्च देम, right, कि how people have been, tribal people have been mainstreamed in many districts in Naxal affected areas, right? So
Right, sir.
that those models you need to study so that you
Yes,
can
sir.
bring that in your answer. That I'll try to use similar models with some more additions for
Hmm.
mainstreaming of the tribals and giving them the necessity developmental reliefs or जो भी support है. Okay.
Yes.
तो आई गेस इतना ही था फिर आज के लिए.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है.
Okay.
टुमारो.
So, please
Yes.
share your feedback. Like, how was it? Like,
You
was
need
it
a lot of
whatever?
work on
Yes, sir.
being brief to the point. क्या हो रहा है कि तुम्हें exact words याद नहीं आ रहे for most of the questions. So for that you need a lot of reading, exact reading and good lines, right? जो हमने डिस्कस किए, जैसे बैलेंस रीजनल डेवलपमेंट इसके लिए बताया,
Yes,
रेसिज्म के
sir.
लिए सेलिब्रेटिंग डाइवर्सिटी, राइट?
Yes, sir.
सो वोकैबुलरी ऑफ आंसरिंग वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, नहीं तो फिर ऐसे गलती होते हैं, हम हिंदुइज्म ये वर्ड यूज करते हैं, राइट? तो
Healthier.
उसके लिए क्या करो, व्हाइल यू रीड एनी आर्टिकल, उसके कुछ की वर्ड्स ही मग अप कर लो कि ये वाले पॉइंट के ऊपर मैं ये बैलेंस रीजन डेवलपमेंट ये वर्ड बोलूंगा, ट्राइबल्स के ऊपर डाइवर्सिटी, सेलिब्रेटिंग देयर लाइफ. क्रिटिसिज्म भी करना है तो कुछ अच्छे वर्ड्स यूज करो जिससे कंट्रोवर्सी नहीं होगा, राइट? सो दोस कीवर्ड्स यू नीड टू वर्क अपॉन. जो भी मैंने अभी बताया, कुछ कुछ वर्ड्स मैंने मेंशन किए, आई आई होप कि वो थोड़ा सा ऐड होगा.
Understood.
ओके.
Yes, sir.
वो इम्पोर्टेंट है, तो फिर अनर्थ हो जाएगा, अर्थ का अनर्थ भी हो सकता है. ओके.
Yes, sir.
You need to work harder, right,
Yes, sir.
on being
Yes, sir.
accurate in your vocabulary and being to the point and not getting digressed. So एक कहावत है ना, don't say what you don't mean.
Yes,
So
sir.
sometimes what is happening is you're not meaning to say that, but वो आ जा रहा है. So इसलिए thought process के ऊपर work करो, right?
Thank
Control
you
your
for being
thoughts.
honest.
हाँ, control your thoughts wherever you feel कि थोड़ा सा हम गलत बोलने वाले. Okay.
Hmm.
तो उसका प्रैक्टिस करो. आस्क योर सेल्फ क्वेश्चन इन द मिरर कि मैं इसको कैसे आंसर करूंगा, एंड देन विद प्रैक्टिस विल ऐड मोर इनपुट्स टू योर आंसर. ओके.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है.
Thank you.
अभी के लिए इतना ही. कल का आई एम नॉट श्योर, बट
You have match, right?
कल
Today?
तो नहीं, आज तो अभी मैच शुरू हो गया, तो स्टार्ट हो गया है.
Acha.
नहीं, कल तो मेरा इवनिंग सेशंस होता है, आज सैटरडे संडे था इसलिए कुछ नहीं. 4 to 7, और घर पे आते 8:30 हो जाता है. ठीक है. तो परसों मॉर्निंग सुटेबल है क्या?
Yes, sir. Fine.
विल हैव मॉर्निंग ऑल्सो, कि इवनिंग में करने से अच्छा एक मॉर्निंग में भी
Sure. All right.
7 to 8, 7:30 to 8:30 ऐसा कुछ रख सकते हैं, डिपेंडिंग ऑन व्हेन यू
Sure.
वेक अप. So take one day off for preparing elaborately on your vocabulary,
Yes, sir.
and day after tomorrow we will start. तो day after tomorrow ऐसे ही कुछ टाइम में पोस्ट डिनर रखते हैं फिर.
Sure,
That
sir.
would be much better,
Yes.
right? ठीक है,
Yes.
चलो देन, गुड नाइट,
Thank you,
टेक
sir.
केयर.
Yes. Good night.
यस.